much. Very interesting when Kikis talks about being over-aggressive or not. Yeah, we turned off and didn't keep chasing when they still went under the inhibitor turret to get a kill in minutes 20. But G2's definition of over-aggression is a bit different than everyone else's, but they had a fantastic game.
Yeah, they certainly did, and it already started in the draft, really, because they did have quite a well-rounded composition. They got the Vladimir, who on this patch in particular is very strong. You could see that they put a lot of emphasis on it very early on. With the Fizz coming out, we heard from the casters as well, was it the best thing to go for in terms of the Irelia? But as you heard from Kikis, he was still pretty confident in that matchup.
So I've got a question for people looking at those team compositions that maybe been tuning in with an eye on Rocket Vitality as well. How did the Cassiopeia do? I've been focusing mostly on that Stream B game. Can you sum it up for me?
Not good. So Cassio, in the past, used to be known as super lane dominant. That was her thing. It was really hard to trade back and forth with her. And Vladimir used to be really weak because it was really hard for him to get that Crimson Rush bonus. Now the roles have kind of reversed because Cass needs those levels to be able to do the damage. She needs to get those poison stacks on. And Vladimir can be really difficult during the laning phase because he shoves you underneath the turret, which Cassio can sometimes struggle with. So when you also don't get the support from the rest of your team, it becomes a very difficult matchup for the Cassio.
It must be hard for Stress to keep his ear on this segment because I know you're having one eye on the other.
One eye.
Crazy things are happening.
It's okay. We'll get there.
We'll get there in a bit. We're just going to round up this series first. Obviously, Vedius, you wanted to take a closer look at what happened level 1 as you feel like that just influenced and maybe even sealed the fate already for Splyce.
So the thing you have to bear in mind when you're playing against a Soraka is you are not going to do the Krugs when you have a Soraka. It's not a great thing to do. So the best thing to have when you have the Soraka is actually go and interrupt your opponents from getting that early level 2. And it seemed to be that Splyce didn't expect this at all. They took so much damage from the Soraka, and early on they were just getting constantly shoved at the turret, and they lost lane at level 1.
Yeah, but you kept saying this is what decided the entire game. I find that hard to believe in a pro game that it does. So what should Splyce then have done? So
the reason why it decided the whole game was because Splyce didn't back. They sat there, they suffered a significant CS deficit, and by 10 minutes, bottom lane was 30 CS down, mid lane was 30 CS down. They set up a dive, they got early kills, they rotated top, and the one lane that Splyce could have done well in, they actually ended up losing because of what happened in the bottom lane. So every single lane effectively won, and it snowballed out of control. I'm going to go ahead and say that Trick was a big part in the rest of the game going the way it went, and he was also our player of the game. Not only has he gotten it twice, in one series as the player of the game, but he's done it twice already as well, so he is a front runner in those standings.
I mean, it's not like he was MVP last split or anything. I guess. I just mean the guy, I heard Deficio during the cast talking a lot about Trick. I didn't see quite the impact, but I know when Deficio's going off on one about somebody getting into all the lanes, that kind of thing, normally it means the player's had a pretty good start to the game, so seemingly deserved.
Don't want to give an honourable mention to Perkz and his quadra kill. He did do some great plays. Yeah, that's why he didn't get player of the game. No,
see, that was that over-aggressiveness that they wanted to wheel in. Go for the Penta.
Exactly. But actually, I believe it was stolen from him because he was 1v4 on the back, and he was like, all right, guys, you get him, and I'll just deal with the rest of them. But, I mean, still, great overall performance from G2. This is very much what we expected from them. But also, big misstep from Splyce, giving away such a big advantage early on. Yeah, I mean, I want to quote Deficio when he was in the casting game 1 saying, hey, Splyce is looking like one of the top teams here in Europe. There was quite a stark contrast in game 2, so let's hope that they can bring back kind of what they did yesterday and also what they did in game 1 more in the beginning for the next series. G2 locking it up. I want to check in on Stream EU LCS 2. Vitality and Rocket are currently in their second game.